What's up? It's Music Mania. Yes, I changed my name from Sebi Rocks to Music Mania because I don't want to be just affiliated with one genre. Speaking of not one genre, today we're going to talk about Eminem and ranking all his albums from worst to first. The worst Eminem album is Encore. I think most Eminem fans can agree with me. Encore is definitely the worst Eminem album. There's a lot of bad tracks on this thing. There's a lot of good tracks on this thing, and also a lot of guilty pleasures. The guilty pleasures would have to be stuff like "Just Lose It." It's a fun little song, right? The worst tracks on here are definitely "Puke," are definitely my first single. The best tracks though are like "Toy Soldiers," One Shot, Two Shot, and Evil Deeds is pretty good. The second worst Eminem album is Revival, the new Eminem album. This album kind of let Eminem's fans split down the middle in three ways. Either one of them, it's horrible. One of them, and one of them, it's really good. It's lit, as the kids would say. It's lit. For me, though, personally, I just think it's really lackluster or mediocre compared to his other works. Before this was the Marshall Mathers LP 2, and even the tracks that he released up to this album, not the singles from this album, but tracks like Phenomenal, stuff like that, is a way different style than what we got. And the biggest reason I think this album fails so much is that because the beats just aren't there. Say what you want about Relapse, but the beats are there, okay? The beats are really good in that album. This album is just trap beats, which I don't mind trap beats. Over an Eminem album, it actually sounds pretty good, but compared to his other works, yeah, this album, ugh. And plus songs like Home, like Anthony Fantano mentioned, trying way too hard to try to be emotional. Oh, we all gotta band together because Trump's now our president. And I just feel like it's very, very mediocre. Is it the second worst album of the year? No. Is it one of the worst albums of the year? Nah. I wouldn't say so. But, speaking of Relapse, to our next worst album is Relapse. Relapse, like I said, the beats are there. If I were to rank these albums on just beats-wise, Relapse would be most likely number one. Relapse beats are on point. They're really good, right? But also, his lyrics just aren't there, man. They're just not. And the accent's okay, but I guess I must have killed them. That kind of gets annoying after a while. Songs like 3 a.m. are very lackluster, but songs with really good beats are like We Made You, let me see, Old Time's Sake, that's a really good one. There's so many, you know? There's so many really good beats on there. There's so many really good songs. Beautiful's one of my favorite Eminem songs of all time. This album is a mixed bag. A lot of people like it. A lot of people hate it. A lot of people really like it. A lot of people say it's better than the original. No. But is it a good album? Yeah, it's pretty good. But there is forgettable tracks like Underground. That's a big one. Also mentioning that there's going to be Relapse 2 that never came out. Thank God. But the next worst Eminem album is Recovery. People really like to dog on this album, man. I don't get it personally, but I kind of get where they're coming from. It's a more poppy sound of Eminem. I freaking love this album, though, don't get me wrong. Tracks like Cold Wind Blows, tracks like Not Afraid, tracks like Cinderella Man, tracks like, there's just so many different good tracks on this album. It's one that you should not pass by. Other forgettable songs are like White Trash Party, that's really all I can think of for right now. Um, On Fire's On Fire's really good, but the chorus is just very lacking. That being said, next worst Eminem album is... Here we get into the albums that I really, really, really love. Recovery was good, yes, but I don't really love it as much as these next four. Okay, so let's go. With number 4, the Slim Shady LP. Don't get me wrong, I love this album to death. There's so many great tracks on it. Just Don't Give an F. Still Don't Give an F. Also, stuff like My Fault. Stuff like I'm Shady. Stuff like As the World Turns. I don't really think there's a single bad track on this. I love this album so much. There's really nothing else to say about it. It's just a really, really good album. Not as good as his other works, but really good nonetheless. Next album. For number 3, we have Marshall Mathers LP 2. Marshall Mathers LP 2. This album, it was one of Eminem's newer releases, and I feel like it can stand next to the old albums and still hold a place, you know? Marshall Mathers LP 2, there's a lot of great tracks on this, like Rap God's one of them. There's so many just good tracks on this. Man, like So Far, Evil Twin, there's a lot of great tracks on this. And I think if he ended his career with this album, we wouldn't have Revival, and Eminem would be much well respected rapper. He's basically just burning out right now. No, he's fading away. He should have burnt out, you know. Do features here and there, but done with the studio releases. Anyway, next for number 2 is The Eminem Show. The Eminem Show at one point was my favorite Eminem album. As time passes, is it a great album? Of course. There's not a single bad track on this thing. It's classic. It's super, super classic. But I don't really think it can stand... Personally, it's really, really, really good. But its predecessor before it, just a little bit better. And yes, I know. And I know that you know, it's the Marshall Mathers LP, that's number 1. There's so many good tracks on here. Not only the singles, like The Real Slim Shady, The Way I Am, but also other tracks like, also other tracks like Kill You, Amityville, Marshall Mathers. That song's pretty good. It's kind of more like a laid-back kind of feel. Kind of reminds me of My Name Is, because it's like laid back. There's just a bunch of tracks on this that get overlooked. Like my personal favorite Eminem song of all time is on this thing, Criminal, which I think is a great send-off to the album. Anyway, that was my list, guys. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't, maybe. And also, leave your Eminem albums ranked in the comments. I will see y'all next time.